Ready, here we are. Okay, we are here for our weekly Marion County Board of Commissioners meeting. It's Wednesday, February 21st, a week after Sweetheart's and Oregon's birthday. Yeah.
And Ash Wednesday.
Yeah, all those things we figured out fell on the same day last week. And we're here in the Senator Hearing Room at 555 Court Street Northeast. As always, we start with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you'll join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wish we had Reba here to sing the national album, you know.
Yeah, she did a good job.
She did a great job. Okay, we have one person signed up for public comment. David, you're... Good morning, David.
Good morning, Commissioner.
You know the drill. Introduce yourself for the record.
My name's David Beam. I'm a spokesman for disability people in Marion County. I got 3 bills going on the floor on the homeless issue in the Salem area and the county. I was wondering if we can get that paper across the street, get the homeless off the street, and get services. I have like a kitchen and bathrooms there out there, because a lot of homeless people can't take a shower. And I was thinking the county commissioners could look at that the next budget meeting for the county,
Okay.
if
Good.
we can.
Appreciate your input.
And then the governor wants me to get some bills on the floor. I got them on today on the floor. I got 3 bills going to be on the floor for $5 million for services for the homeless for Marion County. Did that.
Good. Appreciate
Thank you.
all you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate all you do, David. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have nobody else. Oh, Brenda, you picked it up. Okay,
I moved
okay,
it.
great. So nobody else was signed up for public comment. Thank you, David. We'll move into the consent calendar, and
Do you want me to do it?
I don't know.
I'll do it. It's super long, and I haven't been here.
No.
Okay.
I move to approve the consent calendar under Board of Commissioners. The OLCC licenses recommend approval for the renewal of 98 Oregon Liquor Control Commission licenses as referenced in Exhibit A. Wow. OLCC license recommend approval for JNR's Canyon Taps LLC. Under Board Committee appointments for the Fair Board, approve an order appointing Pam Zielinski to the Marion County Fair Board with a term ending December 31st, 2026. Under Health and Human Services, approve the incoming funds intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority in the amount of $1,274,524 to provide oversight and care coordination for individuals served in Choice Model Services, retroactive to January 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Under Information Technology, approve Amendment Number 5 to the contract for services with Siemens Industries Incorporated to add $139,314 for a new contract total of $829,324 for the hardware and software for the Marion County Jail Video Surveillance System. Under Public Works, receive hearings officers' decisions determining the number of legal lots on 26.65 acres for administrative review. Case number 23033, Prohar and Evdokia, I'm sure I got that wrong, Bodanov. Under Tax Office, approve an order for a property tax refund in the amount of $25,725.55 for Vajord LLC, tax account number 359791. And approve an order designating the Woodburn Independent as the newspaper for publication of the 2024 Marion County Tax Foreclosure List. And finally, under Treasurer's Office, approve orders to establish petty cash funds within the Marion County Community Services Department in the amount of $100 for office supplies and $500 for public competition supplies and judges' fees for the Marion County Fair.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second for a very long consent calendar. Any discussion? Any further discussion? I just want to make one comment. Lyons, Oregon, isn't Lyons an incorporated city in Lynn County? Where's the sheriff?
He's,
Yes, it is
Yeah.
incorporated in Lynn County.
It's interesting that it's listed on our approval list, but I'm not gonna, it could be
Both Marion and McKeown's.
Lions is? The city
Yeah.
limits? Okay. Well, see,
river.
you know, even after 10 years, I learned something new every day.
The river splits it.
I always thought when you went over the river, I thought it was Mahama was like the unincorporated, right? Mahama's on our side, and I thought Lyons was on the other
Mahama
side.
leads up to it. You turn right, it's Lyons. The river is Lynn County.
It's the same as Mill City, sir.
Okay,
Mill City's on both sides.
maybe I need to take a tour with the sheriff, you know, as a newbie and get a.
Go with the logger instead.
lay of the land.
They'll show you where everything is.
I'll get Wilkinson to take me. He knows. All right. We have a motion, and that's the end of discussion, I believe.
Yeah.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. All right, our first item under action is community services to consider approval of subrecipient agreement with the Boys and Girls Club of Marion Polk Counties and not to exceed amount of $111,932. Welcome, Steve, to provide funding for administrative services that support healthy lifestyle programs at the Epping Homestead location, retroactive to July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2026.
Good morning, Commissioner. Steve Dickey with Marion County Community Services. This morning, we are bringing to you the final agreement from the 23-24 funding year for the CDBG program. This is with the Boys and Girls Club of Salem and Marion and Polk counties. As stated, it is in the amount of $111,932, and it is to pay for the expansion of services at the Epping Homestead, and these services are being delivered through the Healthy Lifestyles program. This is the second of funding agreements that we have provided to the Epping Homestead to help them expand these services in serving this part of the city of Salem and Marion County, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Steve?
None.
Just happy this is finally at the finish line.
Yes.
We approved this a year ago,
No,
so.
yeah, number two, right, for the Boys and Girls
Yeah.
Club, that's what we were talking about yesterday, so. Steve, thank you for your work on all this, you know, yesterday we had that big work session, and, it's exciting to see that we have this money anyways, right?
Yes.
It's new for us, well, not new anymore, but it wasn't.
I'd like more. I'd like to figure out how we can get more. So you let me know what I can do there so we can
All
get
right.
more from the feds.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, I will take a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the subrecipient agreement with the Boys and Girls Club of Salem, Marion and Polk counties in the not to exceed amount of $111,932 to provide funding for administrative services that support the Healthy Lifestyle Program at the Epping Homestead location, retroactive to July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026.
I second the motion.
A motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, okay.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Steve. Next action item under Health and Human Services, consider approval of contract for services with Advanced Security, Inc. in the amount of $1,800,000 to provide unarmed security, vehicular patrol services for Marion County Health and Human Services locations retroactive to December 1st, 2023. Look at that smile. To December 31st, 2026. I think we just saw you guys yesterday.
We did. Good morning, Commissioners and everyone. I'm Rhett Martin, Administrative Services Division Director for Marion County Health and Human Services, joined by Mai.
Good morning, Commissioners and everyone. My name is Mai. I'm Senior Administrative Services Manager for Health and Human Services.
Welcome.
And it's her first time in front of the board today.
Yay!
You look excited and nervous. It's fine.
Is she
Just
ready?
pretend it's just us, just like yesterday.
Is she ready for those hard questions? Yeah.
So yes, we are here seeking approval for a contract with Advanced Security. As you're aware, for the safety of our clients and staff, we contract out unarmed security and vehicular patrol of our various health locations. This last fall, we went through an RFP process and selected Advanced Security. They've also been our contractor since 2017, very trusted by staff across all locations. So the contract would consist of $1.8 million and would last through December of 2026. And this would go retroactive to December 1st, 2023. This provides overnight vehicular patrol of our Center Street campus, the Silverton Road building, as well as our future site of our crisis center. And then it would provide unarmed walking patrol at our current crisis center, the Woodburn building, Silverton Road building, and the Beverleys. Are there any further questions?
I really feel like Maya has to talk since she's here. You don't have anything to say?
It's a great opportunity to be here to experience what everyone's going through, but I don't have anything to say at this
That's
time.
okay.
Commissioner Bethel's the only one you have to worry about.
I don't actually have any questions about this, so we'll bring you back for something more difficult. in the future.
Well, we got lots of time. We can't start
I
the
know.
public hearing until 9:30, so go ahead and ask a really tough question.
The questions I have would all be for Ryan, and I will not put you on the spot for any of them.
Yeah, I noticed Ryan's sitting back there.
I was saying, if you have too many questions, she's never coming back.
I think this is a great experience.
So-
Next time we'll bring you up here.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know the hundreds of people that are watching right now. You could say hi, and then you can send the video. You can send the video back out to them. But it's just an example of how we work hard, but we also can have fun while we work too. So appreciate that. Appreciate the hard work that y'all do to get us even to this point. When did you start to? No, I'm going to ask a question.
Perfect.
When did you start the request for proposal process?
Oh, gosh. I would say, was it last year? Probably last year.
September.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this is an example of sometimes, as Commissioner Willis would say, how fast government moves.
We move at the speed of government around here.
Right, the speed of a snail or turtle sometimes, but it takes that long, that much work, and to read all the proposals and to go through and score them and do all that work. So appreciate all you
It's
do.
all about fairness and
Yeah.
access to government money.
That's right.
It takes forever, and it's super
Yeah.
important.
I was just thinking, that's pretty fast. If you started September of '23, and you're here in February, oh, good job.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And there was many holidays.
We work hard with our community partners to make sure that they have every opportunity to apply for, working and building a relationship with our services.
Good.
That's what we needed to hear. You passed.
Successful
All right.
day.
Okay, any other discussion?
No.
All right, I'll take a
Ready?
motion.
I move to
Yeah.
approve the contract for services with Advanced Security in the amount of $1,800,000 to provide unarmed security and vehicular patrol services for Marion County Health and Human Services locations, retroactive to December 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2026.
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, next item is still under Health and Human Services. Oh, you brought me my coffee, thank
Do you
you.
want the coffee?
No, it'll ruin my water. All right, consider approval for a contract for services with Matthew Pueller in the amount of $575,000 to work as an assertive community treatment prescriber, providing skilled medical assessments and supervision through February 28, 2026. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm not sure why I'm sitting on this side.
You can
but
start
Ryan
there.
said, please
No.
take the chair. Okay.
Please take the hot seat.
We'll start with introductions. So Ryan Matthews, Administrator with Marion County Health and Human Services. You want to introduce yourself?
And I'm Natalie Stone. I'm the program manager for the medical teams in behavioral health.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And good morning, Commissioners. Happy to be here. You'll note that I am not Carol Hurd, who is still in jury duty. So
Oh, shoot, they kept her.
Oh my God.
she is
public
doing her
service.
civic duty
Yeah,
and she is
good
attending
job,
jury
Carol.
duty.
Noted. She's across the street for lunch club, right?
Yes. So I'll do my best to cover for her. So we are here seeking approval of a contract with Matthew Pueller for $575,000. Just to know, this is for 2 years, and this is a contract where we pay an hourly rate up to the amount of billable hours that Matthew Pueller works for us. We are able to, he's a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, so we are able to bill for services that he renders and get reimbursed through Medicaid or other private insurance or other payers to help offset some of the costs. So I just wanted to say that up front because it is a significant amount of the contract, but we have ways to recoup, those costs. I was going to turn it over to Natalie to kind of talk about the population that he serves and some of the work that he does. So if you want to go ahead.
So Matt Pueller is a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner He does work in our adult behavioral health outpatient office, but the majority of his time, I would say about 75% of his time, he works for ACT, our ACT team, which is the Assertive Community Treatment. All of our clients have severe persistent mental illness, but ACT is kind of a step above that, somewhere in between hospitalization but in outpatient. So it's a more acute level of care. He goes out into the communities and he provides medical supervision for clients who have therapeutic medications as part of their treatment plan. So he comes in and out a lot. He does a lot of work out in the community. He visits adult foster homes. He goes to the street for clients who are homeless. He goes into homes and does the assessments, and then one day a week he's in our outpatient office doing adult behavioral health clients who actually are able to come into the office. Do you guys have any questions about that, or?
Commissioners, any questions? Nope, good.
Happy we do this work. It's needed.
Yeah, I don't think I have any questions right now. And Carol and I had some conversations before about kind of the really narrow scope of types of prescriptions being provided, and I had asked for her to really pursue broadening that. Could you speak to that?
The types of prescriptions, they're all how would I say that? They're all psychotropic medications. So we don't do like metformin or insulin or high blood pressure. We stick to our kind of psych realm.
Okay.
Occasionally some of those meds can overlap. The meds that are perhaps for side effects of the medications. Sometimes they may be used for a medical issue as well. So we do a lot of, especially the nurses, we do a lot of, sometimes we have to call primary care physicians and let them know we're going to put on this. So we stay within our reins, so to speak.
So everybody and I'm going to pivot because what I was thinking about was a different program.
I was going to
Matt.
say, it was more
Matt.
in addiction services.
Yeah, that was Matt,
Matt.
not ACT.
Yeah.
You know, let's pick an acronym today.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries.
So
Put $1 in the jar.
I know. So for this particular program, are all of the clients, are they through being case managed in adult behavioral health?
The clients in MAT?
No, in
sorry, in
ACT.
ACT.
I just want to talk to you about what you're, yes.
What are we talking about now?
Now we're at.
Oh, ACT.
Yeah.
Okay,
Not
sorry,
MAT.
I was like, I thought. Yeah, in ACT, they have a really
Wait. For the record, can you spell out what these acronyms are?
assertive community treatment.
So
There
the
we go.
contract we're looking at right now, I had confused her and myself for a second.
And
That's
that
okay.
is medication-assisted
Assisted
treatment for
treatment.
folks who are struggling with addiction.
Yes, that's a different.
That's how,
That's
They're
that's how,
actually on a different side in our building,
Right.
which helps us to kind of, you're over there.
that's how we need to speak,
Yeah, okay.
not the acronyms.
Yeah, the acronyms are confusing.
Acronyms is what I call them. It's cool.
So we have a pretty large issue among the community. Folks can see it kind of pouring out onto the streets of individuals who have severe and chronic mental illness. For those individuals, would they ever be served by adult behavioral health in the ACT program? And how do they get there? What does that look like? Tell us kind of about the program a little bit.
Well, a lot of times how they get there is usually a referral from the state hospital or even from the community. Unfortunately, a lot of our homeless population, and I was just thinking about this myself the other day because I was wondering why our numbers for homeless weren't higher because of the homeless that we have. The problem is that they are not always compliant, and when they're not compliant, we can't force the issue unless they've committed a crime. So I would say that's the biggest struggle that we have. But
And when you say
Matt does-
compliant, you mean they're not actually
They
actively
won't-
seeking and taking their
Right,
medication?
they are not actively seeking help, and that is probably one of the biggest problems. And then some of them do. I mean, we have homeless, clients, and one good thing about Matt and the ACT nurse is that they can go out in the community. Let's say we have someone homeless, we kind of learn where they hang out, and we can actually go to them. And Matt can do his medical assessment, and the nurses can be there too. I mean, it's fabulous. It's just getting them to come in and adhere to their treatment plan and be willing to engage.
Okay.
And that's probably the biggest obstacle, is just not even getting to a place where they can do that.
I have been saying to myself since I got into this job that I need to do a walk along with Matt.
Yes.
You're gonna see that come about here in the spring. I would really like to see what he's doing in the community as far as what you just described.
Yes.
To see if there's a way we can emphasize access and treatment.
Yeah.
Thanks for what you do.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you for having
Ready,
me.
ready for a motion?
All right, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the contract for services with Matthew Piler? Is that
Yeah,
his name?
Peeler.
Peeler, Matthew Peeler, the amount of $575,000 to work as the assertive community treatment prescriber, providing skilled medical assessments and supervision through February 28th, 2026.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. This is a 2-year agreement?
Correct.
Yeah, 2-year agreement. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks for your good work.
Nice to see you.
Okay, Sheriff's Office. Consider approval of a contract for services with CNA Corporation in the amount of $248,407.77 for providing consulting services for the Marion County Sheriff's Office Public Safety Assessment. Under Sheriff, welcome. For the record, introduce yourself.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Jay Bergman, Under Sheriff. Just realized this is my first time in front of the board in my current position.
That's an awesome declaration.
Thanks
Congratulations.
Thanks for giving me the ability to ask you a tough question then.
Of course. We welcome those.
The permission, that's what I was looking for.
The request, contractor services with CNA Corporation for a public safety assessment in the amount of roughly $248,000. Fiscal impact for us, first year, roughly $88,000. Second year, roughly $160,000. The contract is for the CNA Corporation to come in and do kind of a top-to-bottom assessment of the Sheriff's Office and the services we provide in all 4 divisions. The goal is to have subject matter experts in roughly everything that we do come in, look at what we do, evaluate every service we provide, and let us know, are we providing those services in the most efficient manner possible, or are there ways that we should be doing things differently? In addition to looking at our current services, also being able to look at some of the current trends that we're seeing in the next few years and help us develop services going forward to help combat those as they come forward. So, contract is for 9 months. Anticipate everything being wrapped up by then, and hopefully we'll be working with the Commissioner's office after that to help implement some of the changes that they see coming for us. So, I think you all know me. I try to be as brief as possible, but here to answer any questions you may have.
I hope that you work with us before this is complete.
Fair.
Okay.
Yeah, misstatement. The plan would be to work with you all along, yes.
I think it's really important that we all kind of understand what they're acknowledging, so that way we can be an effective team for any recommendations and make sure we're navigating all outcomes.
I second that.
Yeah. One of the things, I was looking at the scope of work on this contract, and it's pretty internal, right? I mean, when you look at it, it talks about workload, staffing models, operational. Are they gonna do any external interviews with the public?
Yes, yeah. It's internal in the idea that we're looking at what the Sheriff's Office does, not necessarily how the system as a whole works and what other players do. It's really how we interact with them. But yes, the company should be coming in and doing interviews and evaluations with not only our staff, but all of the people that we work with in the criminal justice system. Yeah, and hopefully they'll be looking at, they'll be looking at everything from staffing to current trends to national ideas about jail beds and, the number of jail beds per capita, the number of patrol deputies that we need per capita. That's what we're really looking for is for them to come in and look at this office from a national perspective and are we doing things that are best practices? Are there some things that we could be doing better? Are there things inside the sheriff's office that we could be combining or moving into different directions so that we're providing the services for the citizens in the most efficient manner?
Yeah, this is good.
Great.
It's important.
You ready for a motion?
Sure am, thank you.
I move to approve the contract for services with CNA Corporation in the amount of $248,407.77 to provide consulting services for the Marion County Sheriff's Office Public Safety Assessment.
I second the motion.
I had a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just have one question. When they get kind of going, are they going to come in and have like a administrative team meeting with you and the sheriff and the commanders and kind of set the direction?
Yes.
I think it would be super great if somehow we were a part of that initial conversation.
Okay.
I'd really like to see what the direction is they're going to go. I don't know that I'll have input, but I probably will. But
Okay.
ultimately,
Yeah, I think we can absolutely arrange that.
you're getting all the thumbs up from behind you, so it seems to be working out.
Good. And if I didn't mention this already, I think I've said this in other meetings, that one of the reasons that we chose CNA Corporation is that they had a really varied background. This was the one company that seemed to have subject matter experts in most of the areas that we were looking for. And in addition to that, their proposal really looked like they looked at what we asked for and developed a program to give us what we asked for, rather than looking at what we asked for and then trying to fit that into a service that they already provide.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah, we're really hoping that this is going to be very detailed for us and specific to Marion County.
Great. That's the goal.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I appreciate Under Sheriff that you're bringing this forward today, but I want to compliment our new sheriff too, that you're taking a deep dive in everything we do, because Lord knows times have changed. It's harder to do a lot of things that we used to do, and it's great to look in all the corners and see how we can be better with the challenges that we're faced to serve our citizens. And I'll say this, that we all know, we've always said this, government's number one responsibility is public safety, taking care of everything that we possibly can. I also, when I get a chance to talk to citizens, and we did this last week about being prepared individually, because government's not always going to be there when we have an emergency, as we've found out in ice storms, water issues, all those things. But we spend, 75% of our dollars, our general fund dollars, on our public safety system, between your office, the jail, the DA, juvenile, all the things that we do to help try to keep people safe. And so this is really important, that we're taking a hard look at those dollars internally, as well as how do we meet the expectations of what we think we should be doing versus what the public thinks we should do, and making sure those are aligned. So appreciate this work.
Well, Mr. Chair, I'll just say it. I mean, one of the challenges is, Measure 110, the decriminalization of drugs, has had a huge impact on our criminal justice system. Hopefully the legislature fixes that. And at the same time, we've had the state really kind of step back as a partner in protecting our communities. And so that more of the burden falls on us locally, and we have to figure out what to do about that.
Sure does.
All right.
Thanks for what you do.
Okay, I think we have a motion and a second, but we haven't voted, correct? So all those in favor of approval of this contract for services, say aye.
Aye.
Aye? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And look at that, we're right on time for a public hearing.
It is 9:30. All right. I will open a public hearing to consider amendment to Marion County's comprehensive plan amending the city of Almsville's urban growth boundary. And you're not Austin.
I'm not.
Brandon's here, and I just wanted to, we have some people here in the audience, just go through in order. We'll have a staff report as our first thing, and Brandon's gonna give us that. We're going to have the applicant's presentation of what they're, have an opportunity, testimony and support, testimony and opposition, general comments, and then the applicant will have a chance for closing comments. And if you would sign up, if anybody who wants to testify today, make sure you signed up. Brenda can make sure you're signed up for that. So there we go. We're off and running, Brandon.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Brandon Reich, Planning Director, Marion County. The City of Almsville has proposed an amendment to its urban growth boundary and held hearings and adopted an ordinance to add 22 acres of land for public recreation. Because establishing and revising an urban growth boundary is a cooperative process between the city and the county, the city has requested the county concur in the UGB amendment. On January 10th this year, the Marion County Board of Commissioners approved a resolution initiating amendments to the county comprehensive plan, considering the amendment to the City of Almsville UGB, and scheduled a public hearing for today. The City of Almsville is proposing to expand its UGB by 22 acres for a new city park on the eastern side of the city. The city conducted an analysis with the consultant that found the park was needed for the city as identified in the plan for the Almsville Parks Master Plan. The city identified a variety of types of parks the city needs and a variety of means to provide more parkland within the city. The analysis found that a 20-acre park on the east side was first identified as a need in the 1996 Almsville Parks Plan and subsequently found again in 2017 and 2023. This was in part due to the fact that the east side of Almsville only has one park of 3 acres in size. This analysis was supported by extensive public outreach and the city did when updating its parks plan. The city's findings support the boundary expansion, the priority of land to be included within the urban growth boundary, and address the Goal 14 factors in the statutory provisions for an amendment of an UGB to include sufficient parkland within the boundary. Throughout the city's process, staff communicated with the city's planning consultant. No issues were identified that needed to be addressed. Upon approval of the urban growth boundary amendment, the land would remain outside the incorporated city until it was annexed and provided with services. In order to apply an appropriate urban zoning designation until the land is annexed, staff recommends the urban transition 20-acre density zone be applied to the parcel. Staff recommends that the board concur in the City of Almsville Comprehensive Plan UGB boundary amendment and direct staff to prepare an ordinance approving the amendment to the Marion County Comprehensive Plan by adopting the amendment to the City of Almsville UGB for 22 acres of land for a public park. With that, I'm available for any questions you may have.
Any questions for Brandon at this time? Okay, so we have Darren and Chris Gilbert signed up.
And Jesse is the consultant. I don't know.
Oh, Jesse, did you want to
for the city?
Did you want to make opening comments for the applicant's presentation?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Jesse Winterroad with
Pull that microphone really
Winterbrook Planning. We are based at 610 Southwest Alder Street in Portland, Oregon, Suite 810. So I think Brandon did a great job with the staff report, summarizing essentially we have 30 years or so of work by the city on their parks master planning that led to a 2017 update that really specified what are the needs for parks in this city. That went through the pandemic and a multi-year process as well. And we were brought in sort of at the end of that to say, okay, now the city has identified, they've gone through a parks planning process, they've identified a need for these 20 acres on the east side, and how do we change our urban growth boundary and be consistent with state law? And so that's what we did, is we took what we had there in the Parks Master Plan. We looked at all the statewide planning goals. We put together council findings and worked with Austin and the county. And now we have a product that was adopted by the city, and we think it's consistent with what the county needs as well. So here to answer any questions or respond to any concerns.
I have no questions at this time. No questions at this time?
Okay.
All right, but we give you a chance to come back if we need to, all right?
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go to Darren and Chris Gilbert, and if you want to testify individually or together, that's fine. And just state your name and address for the record.
You're welcome to pull up one of those chairs if you'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna join you.
It's a group.
Would you pull the microphone or at least speak into it so that way we can for sure?
Yes. Good morning. My name is Darren Gilbert, Daren Gilbert, Gilbert.
And I'm Chris Gilbert.
We live at 7652 Bishop Road Southeast in Almsville.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. We're not here to support or oppose this urban growth expansion, more to express some concerns. If you've looked closely at the map of the proposed park, you will see that there is one property that is an island, and that is us. We would be an island of Marion County surrounded by City of Almsville property. So if you take a look at the property, our property fronts Bishop Road, and the park would surround us on 3 sides. So, arguably, we are the property owners most directly impacted by this process and by this proposal. One of our concerns is an absolute lack of notification from anyone. Almsville doesn't notify us of any meetings because we are not in the city of Almsville.
We were notified of the proposed boundary change, but we were not notified of the city council's meeting where this was voted on. So we went to the park,
Planning Commission.
the planning commission meeting, but we're not of the city council meeting.
Right. And we learned about this meeting through a community newspaper published in Staten. So our concern is that since we are not part of the city of Almsville, who is representing our interest in this process?
That'd be us. I mean, we are the Marion County Board, so we represent anything outside cities. We have jurisdiction on land use.
So we have had 0 communication. And that is concerning to us, this project. And again, we're not here to say we're in favor or opposed, but it could have a tremendous impact on our property and our property value, on our water and sewer, on the traffic on our road. It could have a huge impact on our lives. And so we just want to make sure we know who's representing our best interest.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Brandon,
Commissioner Willis.
what's the notice requirements for this?
By law.
To publish notice in the newspaper. Sorry, to publish notice in the newspaper.
In which newspaper do we publish notice?
The Statesman.
The Statesman Journal. Okay. And there's no requirement to
Mail.
directly reach out to the neighbors of this property?
No, we encourage,
Of this?
we have a lot of expectations for the cities when the cities do this kind of work, to do that kind of work, to do that kind of outreach, to include the community. City's responsibility is to develop the property, to annex it, to make proposals for how they're going to have either setbacks or development standards that are going to help mitigate impacts. So it's the city's responsibility to have a strong proposal.
And then once the city does their work, it comes to us. Is that kind of the process?
That's correct.
And then this particular hearing, we put notice of in the Statesman Journal. Is that
That's correct, because it's a legislative.
Got it.
And we don't have standards for the development of the park or anything like that, because it would be within the city.
Right.
Got it. And then, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sure.
Follow it.
I'm looking at a map of Almsville here, and it looks like there's a large, not dissimilar to East Salem, a large portion of what most people would probably consider the city that's not incorporated in the city limits, is that right? Like everything, it looks like from Bishop Road to Hyberger Loop, all that area is county, is that right? It's not in the city limits?
It looks like it to me. Looks like it to me too. I'd have to look at the map in the file.
Okay.
I actually do have a question.
Yeah, Commissioner
Is it,
Bethel.
so Brandon, I just want to verify, is this bottom left corner the property they're speaking about?
Correct.
And so the city is proposing to put a bike path all the way around their house?
Correct.
I mean, it's so small, I can't actually like, I mean, I even have readers on, but like,
Looks like a walking path or a bike path.
and then there's an access road. A playground to the, what I would think is the west of you, and an access road to the east of you that goes into the park.
And the city didn't reach out to you at all about this?
My neighbor and I met with the city manager, and he talked us through it. We received a notification of the planning commission meeting, and that's the only notification that we have officially received. There is a City of Almsville newsletter that comes out probably once a month, but the only reason we get it is because a kind neighbor brings it to our house because we're not in the city. So, you know, it's legally the city does not have to necessarily notify us. You know, I understand that, but it is, you know, it is unclear how we are supposed to know about all these meetings. If we're required to look at a newspaper, which we don't get, if we're required to look at the Marion County,
I don't either.
it doesn't make any sense for us to be monitoring that much if this is a, you know, way, and I really want, so we really want to work with the city as far as the planning goes, because, you know, we understand the needs, it's the needs of the park, you know, it would, you know, depending on what the park looks like, it could actually benefit our property value, so it is not in our best interest to totally oppose the park, but it is in our best interest to help make decisions about what the park looks, not make decisions, but provide input. And you know, I can't say, you know, I'm being totally honest, we had an issue with some flooding on the property as a result of you know, rain, and there was a ditch there, and we called, and one of their people came out, and he asked us, you know, what would you like to see? You know, what? So, you know, it's not that we haven't been communicated with. I think it's just more of we want to be part of the process as it goes forward. And if you know, at the state level or at the county level, we don't know when these meetings occur. And at the city level, when the Parks Planning Commission meets, it's very difficult for us to be part of the process.
And Chris, we have your information now, so we will be communicating with you. Brandon, if it's appropriate, I want to ask this question in council. Is one of our actions today, obviously one of our actions is to adopt the Almsville ordinance into our plan. Is one of our options to refer this back to have them work with neighbors to do conditional use? I mean, could we require a conditional use is to have them,
The city.
the city, do some outreach to the neighbors in their planning process? Can you share with us maybe what
Sure.
our options are?
Sure. One option is to approve it, the request, approve it with modifications. The city would have to take that back up and consider their modifications in the revised ordinance. You can decline to concur, or it's a legislative process. There's no time limit to make a decision. So the board could for instance, keep the record open, keep the hearing open, continue the hearing to a date to be determined, and then tell the city that we'll take this back up again once the city's had more opportunity to communicate with the neighbor. The city may need to hear the concerns and address the concerns and identify like some of the development that they can do and the standards for development of the property and the way they handle stormwater and other issues, access, could all be addressed, and these explain what kind of development code is going to be applied to the property and whether that be adequate. So once we'd heard back from the city and from the property owners that they've had that communication, we could schedule another hearing, and we'll send you a notice now that we know how you're involved, and that could be taken up at any time, depending on when the city and the property owners are able to communicate.
So I'm looking at council.
Yeah, it sounds like
Go ahead,
You gotta be on the microphone.
yeah, there's three options,
Is it
just
on?
like Brandon said.
Yeah, it's on.
So you can concur, you cannot concur, or you can concur, with conditions, like you said, or you could put it off and make sure those conditions are met before you concur.
Okay, commissioners, I would entertain that we put this off, because I don't know what those conditions are that we would put on it, but I would want to give Mr. and Mrs. Gilbert a chance to go and work with the city on their concerns, and then come back when those concerns have been heard, and then we can make a better decision.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, just with that being said, there's potentially things that you might ask for that they can't accommodate, right? So I don't know what that is. I think the park is a great idea, but also, like, I live out in Almsville, and I would be pretty frustrated if there was a park that was going to be on three sides of me and I wasn't at the table either. So I appreciate that you came today to express your position and your willingness to communicate with the city. I know here in Marion County, just so you know, that if this was something we did, we have given very direct instructions to our planning team. We mail to every house within certain feet of projects, and sometimes miles, because we don't ever want people to be surprised. We're going to take over your neighborhood and you didn't know about it. So I wouldn't think that Almsville would be opposed to this.
So before we finally deliberate, I want to give the applicant a chance to come back up, and unless you have something else.
Before you do,
Thank you.
I just want some, you said you met with the city,
Yes.
and were you happy with that conversation? What more information would you want, just so that we know what we're doing here?
I don't think any additional information. There was an understanding of what the process was, and that's why I knew to kind of look, because I knew that you were the next step in the process after the city agreed to it.
But it wasn't a conversation about kind of things the city could do to manage your concerns. That wasn't the meat of the conversation, or it was?
Not directly. It was
Okay.
more information on our part. Maybe we,
Like
the-
procedurally, kind of
Yeah,
how the
and-
procedures operate.
And the message I received is that there is so much time that this process is going to take, that the final plan of the park may look totally different than what the plan is
So
at
true.
this point.
Correct.
But that's not necessarily encouraging to you, right? It's like, we don't know what it's gonna look like.
So yeah, today, just for the record, today is a land use decision
Yes,
for us,
I
not
understand
a
that.
park design for us.
Absolutely, we
So
understand.
what we want to do is make sure that you have an opportunity to participate in that final design. And if you have any other questions for them? If
No.
you don't have any other things,
Just as a point of clarification, there are other neighbors whose property is adjacent to the planned park, and obviously they would want to be included as well. We're not the only ones, we're just the only island.
we're going to charge Brandon with looking up those addresses when we have a final hearing. So we appreciate you coming forward and sharing your concerns with us today. So thank you. I'm gonna call Jesse back up.
Thank you.
All right, nothing goes through like you always planned, huh, Jesse?
That's all right, that's
All
all
right.
right. No, I definitely don't want people to not be involved in planning, right? That's, goal one is citizen involvement, so that's pretty important.
Right.
Contextualizing this a little bit, the proposal is urban growth boundary expansion, 20-year, big picture. This is where the park will be at some point in the future. There's still no annexation proposed. There's no development proposed. And those will trigger extensive, neighbor outreach within a certain distance of the property development notice. So they're going to be involved in a development proposal when there's that final design. I can't speak to every communication that's happened in the past 6 years before I got involved, but yeah, we do have a city representative here who can say what their notice, and I believe they've followed their notice requirements, and yeah, it's a little unfortunate, I think, that the notice wasn't received, and that's pretty clear by the property owners next to it in the park planning process. But right now we have a 20-year need for a 20-acre undefined park, and that's what's in front of us right now.
So, question for Brandon, and maybe this is, my light just went off. This is an urban growth boundary expansion. We still have jurisdiction. It's just like East Salem. It's still New Marion. It's not in the city limits.
True, we won't have any say on annexation.
But
they can annex without our say-so.
Right, once the urban growth boundary is expanded.
Right.
Yeah, but it's still not in the city limits
That's
yet.
right. It won't be able to be developed until it's annexed.
I think what makes this unique too, Commissioner, and for you, is it's not undefined. So it's not like we need to have 20 acres into the city and we'll see what to do with it later. It's like, we're gonna put a park there.
Right.
And we're gonna put it, and it's gonna surround your property, and we didn't send a letter directly to you guys first. Like, that's
what
a little strange, right? Like, it'd be one thing if it was like, yeah, we're gonna expand the urban growth boundary, and we don't have plans for it.
Right.
And we don't know what it's gonna look like. But this seems pretty defined, so, and because it surrounds this property, it seems like somebody would just pick up the phone and be like, hey.
Fair enough. Maybe I could bring the city up here for that communication and sort of describe that.
Absolutely, I will allow that, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That's a good start. Hi, I'm Kirsty Pizzuto. I'm the Assistant City Administrator.
Can you spell that for the record?
Oh, yeah. It's KIRSTI-PIZZUTO. And this was actually one of my first projects with the city. So we started.
What's your position with the city?
Assistant City Administrator.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So we started the project last, I believe it was last October, 2022. Is that right? Anyway,
Nope, a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I'm like, I have no sense of time anymore. Anyway.
It's like a giant year.
Yeah. So we started the project a while ago. And the planning process involved a city advisory committee, a park advisory committee. So that was actually difficult to acquire too. So we had to reach out to city community members to try to build this committee. And I think it consisted of 4 community members, our planning advisor, and me, and then our landscape architect. And so our outreach was primarily within that group, and then we also went to elementary school and the middle school. And we did a lot of outreach on Facebook as well to try to get community members involved in the survey process. So we did surveys online that was our most outreach that we did within the community, to try to get some input on the park designs that we had laid out. And then we did have a couple of open houses, which were all also published on Facebook and in the newsletter. So all of our council meetings are also publicly noticed within the newsletter, at the bank, at City Hall, and at the post office. We, like they were saying, we do only send that newsletter out to city residents, but they are free to pick up at City Hall, so anybody can just drop by and pick those up. But I do understand that you're not going to know to do that unless you know what you're looking for. So that's why we do have the community Facebook page as well, which is where we posted the survey quite a few times, and then our open houses were posted there as well. So,
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Commissioner Willis.
When you got this design, was there any conversation among your group about this property? Like, did it ever come up like, hey, maybe we should talk to them?
Honestly, not really. There's another property that's to the east of that. That property did come up a few times because we do eventually want to acquire that property, is hopefully, I think, in the plans, but that's, you know, if that comes up, it comes up. And we were in communication with that resident a few times as well because he was aware of the situation. And so I believe he's the one who actually picks up the newsletter and distributes them to the non-city residents in that area.
But nobody in your group thought like, hey, this might be something we should.
I don't remember anything about that now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to hold this over so that you guys can have that direct outreach to this neighbor. Because just a common sense sort of my look at this is like, I just assumed that, because we've gone through, we've received notice of this and we've had 2 or 3 meetings and we haven't had any input. So I just assumed that the city had reached out to this.
And I'm gonna, go ahead,
Commissioner, not just, I mean, I don't know how often you drive this road, but I drive it pretty regularly, and there's more than just their property.
Yes, it's
I mean, there's not so many that you can just door knock it.
Right.
Type of a situation, and I would hope that you would do that.
And I'm gonna ask Brandon, because when I look at the map, it doesn't show those surrounding properties, the map of this park that they've drawn up. I think if they would expand that and show the neighboring properties that are outside the city limits, that would be helpful. And I really love the design of this park, but I don't see pickleball courts, so I'm not sure I can.
They're on there. They actually are on there. They've got pickleball, tennis, and some basketball.
Are you into that sort of thing, Commissioner?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah, I will say for not for the park plans, but for the expansion, the planning commission meetings were the notice ones that they were talking about. So yeah.
And we understand that the park design is, we just want to make sure that we get a little better communication here and people are involved. So Brandon or council, do I need a motion to hold this over, and do we need to set a date certain where we would come back? It's up to them.
Somebody else who wants to talk. It looks like somebody else wants to talk.
Oh yeah, sure.
Just introduce yourself.
Sorry, I'm Matt Etzel. I'm the Assistant Public Works Director. And
welcome, Matt.
Thanks. I just wanted to, I guess, add one more thing. Agreed, probably a letter would have been better to notify the residents of what was going on, but we also did, as part of the planning process, post at the property that there was going to be a public hearing about the park and what the proposed development was going to be. That's part of our planning commission process, and so we posted at the property. Close
like
to
a field sign that looks like a real estate sign that I've driven by and thought, oh, it's for sale.
Yeah.
Like, I've never read that sign, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so.
I really thought, oh, we're selling this somewhere in Huntsville.
Okay, all right.
That's all I had.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we have enough information to do what we need to do here. So council.
Just to clarify, so when you would like to reconvene this, you will still have a hearing? If that's the case, then you would continue this hearing rather than close it?
We're gonna continue this hearing, keep the record open,
Yes.
right? So the motion would be, if one of you wanna make it, is to,
continue the hearing and leave the record open.
yep, right?
Yes.
And then we will hear from the city of Almsville, and we'll schedule a follow-up here, or a continued public hearing on this. And the citizens, hopefully not only these citizens, but those that are around, would be notified prior, hopefully before we get this back, that the city's done something to communicate with the citizens. That's what we're looking for. And that the proper notices, not that it was improperly noticed, but that further notifications have been made of those people.
Sometimes following the law isn't the same as following common sense. Shocking.
Oh, trust me, because if I go 55 and somewhere I get ran over. Okay.
Just for clarification then, just so that, in case nobody shows up at the next hearing, are you asking that the city provide direct written notification to the adjacent property owners?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And some sort of, in the continuation of the hearing, some sort of information about their outreach to those owners. What did that meeting look like? What sort of were the concerns? What sort of
Yeah,
agreements or otherwise.
Outlining the process, i.e. this is a land use decision that's happening right now, but this, like you said, Commissioner, that they understand this is for a park, there's not gonna be a bunch of homes back there.
And what the city can do to make sure that the impact isn't adverse to those property owners.
Is that enough direction?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll take a motion to keep the public hearing open,
To a date that staff
to
will.
continue the public hearing, yeah.
To a date to be determined.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing and leave the record open to a date to be determined.
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, motion and second. Any further discussion?
I do just want to say for the record that I'd be happy to engage with the city in what this looks like. This, I think, is a partnership, right? And we do not feel like you're out on your own, so if I can help at all, let me know.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, I'll take a vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, motion passes. And I will recess this public hearing to be continued later. I'm going to recess the public hearing to be continued at a later date to be determined. Okay. That concludes our business. And anything you want to talk about before we close the board meeting?
No, because we have a meeting right now with Jan.
That's what I was just thinking.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Brandon, thank you for your work. Mr. and Mrs. Gilbert, thank you for being here today. And Jesse, thank you. And Almsville, it's a great idea. It's a pretty cool place. And we will adjourn our board session.
So, and then that's it.